Hey y'all, Wiggle here. Wanted to show you about what I'm doing here to kind of help manage my potato patch that got really out of hand. So I've had these cows on this pasture here all day. It was pretty good pasture. And they've been out here eating on it all day. Got pretty full and they're kind of nibbling around at things. Kind of just browsing. They're not really serious about eating. They're just kind of picking around. So I let them in this little patch over here that was like maybe a foot tall. It's pretty good little patch. Did that guy bust my fence down over there? How'd he get that sunflower? Just reached over. So this is pretty tall. They got in here and ate that. There's still a lot left in here that they didn't eat. So they're not super hungry. They're just kind of picking at it. If they were real hungry, they'd sit here and stay on this grass all the time. They should. Point being is that they've been eating on grass all day and they're pretty much full. They're kind of just cooled off. They're kind of in browsing mode. Kind of full, so they're kind of more picky. They're not coming into this thing all hungry. So this patch, I had a video showing you that, and I was thinking that it wouldn't get that much weeds, and it's super weedy. So instead, I've been cutting it out and bringing it to them, but now I'm going to just let them come in and get it. The potatoes, as you can see, we've had a dry spell, and they've kind of done their thing. They've already flowered. They haven't died back yet. But they're in here competing with all these weeds, and I'm going to get in here and stomp them all down trying to fix it anyway. So I'm going to just let the cows come in here and just eat it right where it is instead of me going through all that work. Just a ton easier. If I lose a little bit, you know what, fine. Now, they say cows will eat anything. It's not necessarily true. Now, if you had grain-fed cows and they never got on any fresh grass and they got into a potato patch, they'd probably eat all the potatoes just because it was green and they're not used to having green. These grass-fed cows, they kind of know what to eat and not. They will skip things. They'll skip like poke and nightshade, and they'll skip the perilla mint and other things. They won't eat it. They know better. And potatoes are of the nightshade family, and I notice they go around them. Especially if they're not real hungry. Even the young ones, I do watch them and make sure they're not eating anything they shouldn't. Anyway, this saves me hours and hours of manual labor. Just letting the cows get in here and let's see what little Junior's here is eating on. Just make sure these dumb young ones, they're not eating potatoes. I don't see anybody eating potatoes, which is what I would expect. They're not. And again, they're not super hungry, so they're just going to kind of pick at the best stuff. Even like that smart weed down there, they would usually just tear that up if they were hungry, and they're just kind of nibbling at it, not eating it all the way down and stuff. So this may seem a little crazy, but this is the easiest way to just weed this potato patch. And then I'll let it bounce back, and we'll see. Hopefully we'll get some rain. Hopefully they'll get all of the competition out of there. I'll go in there and yank out a few thick stalks or chop them, or probably just yank them out, throw them on the ground. And then whatever potatoes are left in there, they're going to have a lot better chance of not having to compete. If they're not all dead, I might even water them. I haven't done any of that season. So they're more interested in this stuff than they are the grass over in that other little paddock there. Like they're getting after the ragweed and lamb's quarter. And nobody's eating potatoes, which is very, very good. So kind of a chancy thing, but I think it's going to work out. And again, don't try this at home. Make sure you know what you're doing. But I thought this was an interesting solution, and I'm really looking at ways to continue to use livestock to do the weeding and so forth, instead of using sprays or gas-powered equipment or a whole lot of manual labor, which, you know, if you're going to do all natural, it's a lot of manual labor. So this may be a system that's actually sustainable, actually workable. It's pretty crazy. Most people would never even try it. But I'm not afraid to try it. And I am making sure that everybody's doing what they should do. I wouldn't do it with cows that don't have any sense, that haven't done a lot of grazing, because you would probably kill them. So, but as you can see, the potatoes, I don't even see one bit. I don't see one being eaten by anyone. So, cool. Alright, well that's it. I might show you what, well, hold on, I'll show you what this other thing looks like over here. So this is what I did a couple days ago. I had put in that little fence over there, across here, and then I let them get in here on this green beds and clean them out. And that's what was left. So, they didn't eat all the Swiss chard. They don't seem to like it as much, or at least that variety. So anyway, they had busted down that gate and they had got in there and eaten on that stuff anyway. Even though they weren't supposed to, I couldn't find my wire. It wasn't wired up very well. So they busted down that little green gate. There was the other panel there, and they had gotten in there and already started on this patch anyway. And I noticed that it went pretty well, so I'm going to go ahead and just allow it. So now I have a springtime video showing how we laid out these beds and so forth. I did bring in some of this newer stuff to try to choke back the weeds. But what a mess it all ended up being. Just, we got a lot of weeds coming in, and I wasn't here to take care of things. So now I'm just going to mulch between the grow beds and see if that kale and all that stuff comes back or not. But I'm going to mulch where the weeds are, and some of those beds, just none of the seed came up, or if it did, I wasn't here. It was spinach or lettuce or whatever. It came and went before I ever saw it. So we'll see if this kale all springs back or not. It would be interesting. I think it probably will. We'll probably be harvesting all the way up till next spring, but we'll see. Kale will usually last quite a while. It's just got to get it to this heat. So I've actually reduced the stress on plants by having them grazed. Now the root is just trying to do a lot less work. If we get a good rain, it'll probably bring it back. But if I lose the whole thing, that's all right. We'll just start over. I was planning on just tilling all this anyway. Even though our compost is probably not finished, it hasn't been enough months. But I say the compost's not finished, and then look at all the weeds growing in it. Same as over there. It's just got a lot of weeds growing. So, hey, anybody have any experience using cattle in the garden? Let me know. Now, I can't do this in a food forest, because when you have little blueberry bushes and fruit trees and stuff, they'll tear them up. Unless it's an older forest and you can graze them through really quickly, really not a good idea. There's a little cow chewing on a potato. Don't eat it, dummy, you'll die. I don't think he ate it. Yeah, like these bigger ones, they're eating right around the potatoes. And they could eat a few potato plants. They just can't like gorge on them. They can eat a few and it'd probably be all right. Anyway, they're really helping me. Doing some work. This bed was just mostly a compost bed anyway. whatever potatoes I got out of it would be a bonus. It wasn't really ready to be, it wasn't like crop ready yet. It was just too unfinished. But the plant of this should help it. I'm gonna go make sure there's no tops of potatoes getting eaten. If there is, I'll chase them out. So anyway, they're not gonna be in here much longer anyway. They'll get bored and leave. Anyway, let's go out. You know, it's a little bit misty out here, so got us a little bit of rainbow. Nice cool evening for July. So I haven't seen any potato tops that got eaten at all. They took a swipe at the persimmon tree down there that was hanging, and they even ate some hops here, wild hops. Looks like he's eating potato, but he's eating hops. Let's see. So I don't think they're going to get any kind of poisoning. Now look at her ripping out the Swiss chard by the roots. Little brat. But it could definitely stand to be thinned anyway. It's not going to hurt it. We'll see if, I bet the Swiss chard comes back if anything. As long as we get some rain. We are a bit dry. So I'll just show you in the morning what they accomplish. I'm just going to let them in here all night because they're full. I cannot do this when they're not full. It would be a little bit more risky. Anyway, let's wiggle out.